guys. So this is not all of the types of questions you would see. For instance, it's very likely that you will have the diagram of the front page or an article, right? You'll likely have that, and you have to fill in things. There might be a spot for you to draw one of the news formats, right? And so, but these are sort of the types of things I do. Okay, the first section, fill in the blank. Fill in the appropriate words for the following statements. Use the exact term and spell it correctly. It's important that you spell it correctly. Okay, I'll take a little bit off for that. Don't let this part scare you. I think some students, they tend to wig out a little bit. Oh my goodness, I don't know it. You know more than you think. Okay, it's just important to relax when you're in the test, and you can come back to it. Okay, and I will, I give you maybe like 10 statements. You fill in 8, and if you can fill in the other 2, I give you a little bit extra credit. Or if you got half wrong on one, I'll fill them in, and half wrong on the other one, I'll put them together. Okay, so just relax. Don't let this throw you if you've never done this before. And if you have me again, you'll be seeing these types of questions in all my tests. So you'll just get used to it. Let's take a look at this. Blank is when a reporter gives his/her opinion, either intentionally or inadvertently. It occurs when he/she uses I or my, or even with the use of a suggested attribution, like insinuates or scream. Okay, so I go on, and it must be clear from all of this that what I am asking for is, Chris? Editorializing. We've been over this again and again. We don't like editorializing. Go ahead and fill that in if you like. Editorializing, and practice spelling it so you can see that. Okay, blank is a way of speaking and writing that should be avoided in media writing. It occurs when a writer makes the mistake of making things happen to people rather than making people making things happen. Example, the paper was written by Janet. All right, so if we've gone over this, it's been a while, but it is from the reading. There. Passive voice, very good. Very good. Looks like Susie had that ready too. This is on page 53, number 1. Okay, this is a list that you'll want to really be familiar with because you will see questions from this list, page 53. And we're going to go is where they talk about passive voice. Okay, so I love fill in the blank. It'll be as many as 15, 20 fill in the blanks. Okay, I love fill in the blank statements. And the reason I do is because I just looked at Monty, he had a look of horror on his face. Teachers adapt questions when they realize a question doesn't really work. And I used to just give words. A lot of teachers give me the definition for this word. And I had a student who just wrote down, she obviously had memorized the definition from a book. It's like, I don't think she really understands the word. I want to ask her about it. And because later when they wrote a little essay, it was clear she didn't really know what the word meant. Turned out she had a photographic memory. She could do whatever definition she wanted because she got it like that without any understanding of it. So that's why I do this fill in the blank thing, because then you have to actually understand the term. All right, multiple choice. I'm not a big fan of multiple choice, but there might be a few questions like this. Which is the correct sequence for a direct quote? Now, I've been really hammering this, so I expect 100% accuracy on this question from everybody. It's A. Okay, please review this, because this is something I've been writing on a lot of papers, especially in the online class. They get the attribution wrong, and he talks about in the book, we like to put the attribution at the end of the sentence, unless there's a very good reason the verb comes last. Okay, discuss the journalistic writing style. Include topics such as paragraph length, organization of an article, and balance. Okay, if I ask this question like this is sort of a still waters run deep. That's probably not the right metaphor, but I'm looking for a lot of stuff here, right? Here, I would want you to go into what could potentially you go into. There's so many directions you could take that question. What do you think? Valentine? Okay, inverted pyramid, definitely. I'd want you to be talking about that. What is inverted pyramid? Who's it for? Maybe how it came about. It's better to write too much than too little, but also pace yourself. You don't want to spend the whole time on this one question. Paragraph length, things that we talked about a lot with your papers. Do we write long, flowing paragraphs in journalism? No. Often they're one-sentence paragraphs, especially if there's a lot of quotes. We start a new paragraph usually with each new quote. We like to do what with paragraphs? How do we organize paragraphs? Devin, do you remember? Something I've said a lot, maybe even on your paper, I don't remember. But what do we put in a paragraph? Do we have several things in one paragraph, several ideas, or do we one idea per paragraph, one theme per paragraph? Okay, so that means maybe most of your paragraphs will be one sentence. Okay, we have short paragraphs in journalism. Okay, organization of an article, that would be things like inverted pyramid, that hints at that. You might get into martini glass, you might get into kebab, explain why it's not chronological, that sort of thing. And then balance. Okay, balance goes way back. We talked about balance with some of these little exercises we've done at the back of the chapters. Do you remember these? Remember that loggers one? There was a logging, they're raping the countryside, these forestry people, and they talked about balance. Exactly. We don't want to be too one-sided with our story to sound like we, have our biases out there right in the open, right? We want to interview both sides of the story, all right? And we don't want our lead to lean one side or the other. So balance. We hear from several sources, hear from several. Maybe there's more than two sides of an issue. Okay, so lots of things would go there, and there could even be other things you could think about. When students echo things I put on their papers, like. This article should have a headline, and there should be a verb in the headline, and it should be in present tense, and the article's usually in past tense. I love that. It's like, wow, this person's paying attention. I didn't even think they would answer that. But as long as you're not spending too long on the question. So use your best judgment. Get a lot of meat in there, but make sure to pace yourself. Okay, number 2, identify the 9 specific news values. Describe each, give an example of each. Okay? So this is really what I'm asking for. If you identify them, but you don't give an example, I'll give you some credit. Okay, so there's some credit there. But it's very important that you do what the question asks for: proximity, conflict, immediacy/timeliness, right? Impacts, and then ones that I've added that the book didn't have: evergreen and currency. Good. So make sure you know what those are. The ones that are confusing, I've tried to really point that out. That some students get currency confused with timeliness. You need to study that for yourself so you're not one of those students, right? And hopefully nobody get confused by that. Some students confuse prominence. Could that mean any people, place, or thing? No, we're only talking about people with prominence. Right, so make sure to review all that. I have one on here, and that's fine. What I want to do, actually, is have you do this little writing exercise. Make sure to read the directions when you get to the test, though. Write as if you are a reporter for the Idaho State Journal, and the story will be printed tomorrow. So that means we don't need to mention the state name, okay? Because we assume the person knows that Pocatello is in Idaho because they're getting a Pocatello newspaper, right? So you don't mention the state. And then you refer to this as the events happening yesterday, unless in the story it's going to happen, they're referring to something that's going to take place in the future. And in that case, you might say today. Okay, so the story is going to be printed tomorrow. And I do want you to, I'm going to give you a little bit of paper when we are at the test, and you write a little rough draft there, and then write the final lead there. Now, it might be more than just a lead. It might be a lead in a follow-up sentence or paragraph. It might be a bright or a brief where you have a few sentences. But in this case, we're just doing a one-sentence thing. So you cannot include all that information. Please don't try to include all that information. You need to read that, decide what's the most important information, and put that into a lead. So let's go ahead and do that right now. And you can mark up this piece of paper and do whatever you want to it, but we are going to read a few of them. So make sure you're able to read your lead about Terry Jones, the 10-year-old from Pocatello. It's up to you. That's a good point, though. Maybe you don't want to use the name in the lead. Why don't you? Okay, it's underlined and bolded, so it's a good idea not to use the name in the lead. Yeah, so I was really spelling it out when I originally gave this exercise out to students who, let's do a delayed. And also because it's a minor. That's right. This is a minor. This is someone who is underage, and you don't want to get fired, so you would not use his name in the article at all. First of all, what's the most important information here in this day and age? What do you think, Devin? Okay, it was a 10-year-old, and they just went in there and asked for some cards, or what? What about it? At gunpoint. Okay, the gun is a big deal. The fact that he's 10 years old. Anything else kind of interesting about this that might make it into the lead? At least it probably would be, at least by the second sentence. You might have not done this. Kind of almost bittersweet, ironic, is what I'm saying. Going for here, what he stole, right? Not much. It's $5 worth of stuff, right? Kind of sad. Not that any theft would be better, but okay. So let's hear some of your leads now. Let's hear some of your leads. Okay, I like that a lot because you have definitely the crucial information. So you're on the right track. There is one little thing, though, that we have to add to kind of cover our bases here, and that is he was arrested for this. Do we know he did it yet? And so we're going to cover it with adding a certain word or two words. Devin? Okay, allegedly is good. That's good if you have that. That's fine. There's even something better. Suspected with, that could be work. If efficient way to do it, and my sentence is almost your sentence, Michael. Arrested and charged with. Okay, please get in the habit of anything to do with arresting, or someone's arrested and charged with, because it's not a done deal until he's, either pleads guilty or the trial he's found guilty. And then another way to say it is police, according to police, or police said, or according to police records. So we'll put it on them. We'll put it on Chris and his ilk that they said this and we didn't. Okay, don't get mad at us. Don't sue us for if it's not true. Okay, good. Did anyone go another direction? That was good and solid, Michael. Valentine? There's a few good things I like about this. One thing though, you already have tried him. It sounds like we know he's robbed it. Are we sure that he's robbed the Walgreens?
Well, according to the information, I said he robbed, so it'll be good.
Right, but this will be kind of the information you gather. Let's assume when we read this, and so we want to add something like what to that? The 10-year-old who.
I would say suspected of robbing.
Okay, suspected of robbing. Right. Accused. That's a good one. Or police said. The 10-year-old who police said. It probably would be whom police said. If you're putting the police said in.
Take step up. I mean, where does that?
Well, if you really want a street number or something, come up and ask me, like from a test situation, because then I'll make up one for you, and you just want maybe be one space removed from the making up of things, because it's so dangerous. You don't want that to make a practice of that if you're actually doing real reporting. So, Valentine did something really good. He advanced the lead, and so yes, you would write it like later today. He's going to face a judge, or he's going to, go up in front of the courts or whatever, right? So he did something really good, which is what I was actually going to have you do next, and it's called advancing the lead. So when we wrote this lead, and I wrote one too, we acted like this was new to the public. They didn't know about this arrest. But let's imagine that it's a few days old, and he's being held in the juvenile court system, or he's in a home or something, and a detention center, and now he's going to go up in front of the court, right? Which you probably were assuming that maybe there's already been some articles written on this. It was already on a newscast. And so you would want to do something called advancing the lead, which gives us the next step, the next newest developments. All right, now this is something I meant to tell you about earlier. I don't think I did. So this would be something you might see on this test coming up on Wednesday. So you would advance the lead, and in that case, the most important information in this case would be, in this story, would be he's going up, he's facing the judge. All right, we'll appear in front of the Idaho Falls Juvenile Court at 2 p.m. on Monday. And then you would catch us up, the audience, the reader who didn't know the story. But Valentine was right. He used the 10-year-old accused of robbing the Walgreens at gunpoint. It will be going up in front of the court, the juvenile center court today at 2 p.m. or something like that. He was right to say the 10-year-old, because it's supposed to almost refresh the memory of the reader, like, oh, it's that 10-year-old, right? So that was good. Okay. Now, I didn't tell you to do that, so if you didn't, that's fine, but that was what I was going to have you do next. So let me give you another.